We are very, very excited to have this gentleman here with us. Multi-instrumentalist, composer, member of the Sun Ra Arkestra since the 1950s, director of the Sun Ra Arkestra for the past 20 plus years. Please welcome Mr. Marshall Allen.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. That's nice. Made my heart bubble.
So how does that feel? You're part of this orchestra rather, for many, many years, and then you make that transition to eventually lead it.
It's just like life is. I'm sitting here, you talking, and then you all got up and cheered for me. And that's a feeling, and that's spontaneous. And it's a good feeling. So it's the same thing with the orchestra. When you play some music and you come away feeling good. So you play the music for your well-being so you can give others some when you play. So y'all made my well-being with a cheer, you see? So it's not complicated, it's very simple, you see? So.
I think there's a lot of Sun Ra fans in this room. There are probably some who are not familiar with Sun Ra. For somebody who is not, perhaps, what is the best way to explain who and what Sun Ra is?
All right. Like, we're all young at one time, and we're looking for our place in space. Okay. I come out of the army, and I studied a little at the National Conservatory in Paris. And then I come back home, and I'm ready. I thought I was, anyway. I'm ready to find my place in a band because I love band. So I was around Chicago, so I heard about Sun Ra through a record producer and jazz analyst and whatever you want to call him. He had a record store, so he gave me a record with Sun Ra's music on it. I heard the music, and I fell in love with the sound of the music and the way it was played. And I said, oh, that's beautiful. And I went back to buy another. He says, Sun Ra is looking for musicians. He's always looking for young musicians with talent that want to play. And I said, yeah. He said, yeah, he lives on the south side. I said, I live over there. So they was rehearsing in ballrooms. They had a rehearsal place every day they would rehearse. So I said, I'm going over there. So I took my little horn and I marched over to Sun Ra. And he was in the ballroom, the band was rehearsing, he was writing music or poetry or something. Anyway, and I asked him to join, so we talked about the Bible, the ancient Egypt, and outer space, everything but the music. You see? So I sit there with him for 4 hours. In 4 hours, and then he says, I'm going over to see a band playing next door, and we got to eat, and I'm going over that. So I went to eat, and we went to hear the band, and I'm still listening to Sun Ra talking about the Bible and ancient Egypt and outer space. God, and he ain't said nothing to me about playing, so I was late for work. Next morning, of course, I was working. And I was late for work and coming all blurry-eyed because I sit up there all night listening to Sun Ra's philosophy and things like that, and music. So he told me, come over to John Gilmore's house. He lived in the neighborhood.
John Gilmore,
tomorrow.
The saxophone player.
And we'll see. I'll be over there playing. So he was over there in the morning. I went over there and we played. He played and then John was asleep because he had a gig last night. So he was laying in bed, so we come, play this. Play what? Then he played on the piano. Boom, boom, boom. Play that. Play what? You know, I look for some music or something. No, it wasn't. And he gave me a little, he would play something and told me to play to see what I play like with no music and no everything. So I said, oh boy. So he played a song and I played on it. So he said, okay, come to rehearsal tomorrow. So we come to rehearsal. I sit there, everybody's rehearsing, and I'm sitting there like that. So then everybody stopped and cool, and then he'd play the piano. Then he'd tell me to play a little bit. To want to see how I play. And that's good, but you're too sentimental and this and that. And I was saying, what is all of this? Every day I come back to something, I said, now you gonna get rid of me like that. I was determined to get in that band. So he told me every day, every night I come from work, I go to rehearsal instead of going home. And he finally gave me a part, one song. So I didn't have a chair, so I had to stand by the piano and the bass. And I'd stand up there, no seat, just stand up right there while everybody else was sitting and playing. But I wanted to get in that band, so that's where I got in it. I had my discipline, and I was determined that all this talk about space and the Bible and everything, and do I know this, do I know that, I'm going to learn to be quiet, shut my mouth, and learn. So that's how I got in the band. I had the discipline to listen to him and try to understand everything he's saying, which I didn't. Not everything. You know. So anyway, he let me play one song that we rehearsed at John Gilmore's house, and that was my song. It's called Spontaneous Simplicity, and that was the only song I played in the band. So and then I become rehearsal, and I got the music. Then he says, oh, you're playing it, but you're playing it too sentimental, and you're playing it this way, and you're not playing it right. So, other words, is the code he had of how to express a simple line of notes. Now, it's 1,000 ways I'm supposed to express it, but he had a certain way. So I had to learn how to express this note. How to, because the note said da dee da dee. Now we yup, shut up down, down. Always before the note, like before the note. So that was what they call syncopation. It's always before tit tat 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 against the boom 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 boom. So I had to learn his language that he spoke in music and the intervals that he used, and they were different. And his songs was in these different intervals, and that was my problem. Is to learn that because every time he says, "Oh, that's nice, that's wonderful, that's sentimental, that's nice, that's good, you're all right," but it's not what I want. So I'm figuring out what does he want. So through the years, anyway, I found out that I was using my head for all I know and not my heart for all I could do. And, that's double thing, and the spirit of it. So what he was trying to do was bring not what I know about music and play and in like that. He wanted the spirit. So the spirit was flowing and that was he bringing out. And that's how I got in the band. I took all of the insults, or what you want to call them, and stood my ground and tried to bring out what he said I didn't bring out, the spirit of the music.
Now, you said you didn't understand what he was telling you in terms of the
Well,
philosophies,
of
not
course.
least
He
at
said,
first.
we're going to the moon, and I'm saying, what? And he said, I was transmolecular through space. That what? No, now nothing rather than me saying or denying him or anything. Inside, I was kind of what? And that's what he meant. See, so no, it was confusing, you know.
I think it's still confusing
Yeah,
to
it's
some
very
people.
confusing. If I tell you that, you'd be saying, well, yeah, you know, no, not so quite so. It made sense, so I absorbed it, and to see what he was trying to do for me and the musicians and for the people with his music.
I mean, is there a simple way to explain for somebody who's not familiar with Sun Ra's philosophies? Is there a simple way to explain it?
Have some discipline, express it. It's like life is. Have some discipline. You want to learn, it's not what you like or what you want. It's what you get that's for your well-being, you see. So I needed some discipline. First thing, I needed a certain type of discipline in order to get his music or interpret his music. So that's what I needed. He knew it, that I didn't have that discipline because I was always guessing, you know, like that.
So spontaneous simplicity was the first song that you got a part on.
Just right for him. I flowed, and I didn't have no music. I'm just sitting up there playing.
Can we take a listen to a little bit of Sun Ra, Spontaneous Simplicity?
So I was glued to music, to reading, and being correct, and so there I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't pin on this to tell me, so I just spent on my heart, just feel and really listen at what the background was to play that. You see.
Was that you on flute? Because you were playing flute. Did you know the flute before working with Sun Ra? Did you know how to play the flute?
I had bought the flute earlier. Yeah. Because you know, and we hadn't got to really really getting to it, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I live down here, you hear no crack, you know. so, but all of that fit in, because I was doing it in the spirit of things, you see. It's simplicity.
So, I mean, but from your ears, you identified it right away. Sun Ra's music didn't sound like other jazz artists at the time.
No, Sun Ra was the person that you'd come to him and he could analyze you. He was one of those natural leaders that analyze people and see their potential. So he must have saw the potential in me or something. Yeah. To tolerate my foolishness, because I had a lot when I was young. Yeah. So anyway, but I did what I said I was going to do. I stood my ground, and the things I did not understand, I absorbed it, and I didn't make no comments because I didn't understand. So most people, when you don't understand that, you know, but no, not that. So I learned that way, and I learned through experience from that.
So
I had to have some discipline, which I didn't have.
Well, the discipline thing is obviously a really big deal.
Different discipline.
Yeah.
I had discipline for the army to march and go on, but I didn't have no discipline for my own learn creative things that he had. And I had to learn his discipline just like I learned all the rest of it.
Now, his Sun Ra's discipline is kind of legendary. What were these rehearsals like for the orchestra?
Everything you like to do, as young people like to do, put it aside. And that's very hard, you know. You put it aside. Music, 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 24 hours a day. And that was it. And if you play, play, and play every day, you go out, he'll say, wait a minute, I got something, find something. In other words, he keep you doing your youthful things, whatever it is, good or bad or indifferent. And do this before you go. But then if you don't do it because you want to, if you're doing it because you don't want to, it take you a little longer so you don't get where you go supposed to be going. Because you, man, oh, I got to go somewhere. See? So that's the way he would do. Put the insignificant things aside and learn.
But were the rehearsals at this point the really long rehearsals that you read about?
Rehearsals.
Like we're talking how long?
24-hour rehearsal. We rehearse all day, and we get up in the night and rehearse again.
So just continuous.
Or he'll call you out of your bed, come down here and do this and do that. So he was consistent.
Why do you think the musicians that Sun Ra brought into the orchestra wanted this kind of discipline, wanted this type of regiment?
Those men say, Sun Ra said, you can't make a better world unless you lift the man out of the gutter and you bring him up, lift him. So no matter what background you had, if you had talent, you know, you put him in there and he'd give you his disciplines on it. Mm-hmm. So those things, because he proved that one day, I seen him myself. Guy was laying in the gutter drinking wine, and we coming in the club to rehearse. So we went in to rehearse, and when he come out, he got up out of the gutter and wiped his dirty hands on his dirty clothes and wanted to shake everybody's hand, and the music got him out the gutter. Because he said, oh, I've never heard anything like that in my life. So, to make a better world, you see? Yeah. There you are. Play the music, make a better world. So, if you're going to make a better world, you can't leave anybody in the gutter. Got to lift them out. So, you can do it through many things. I'm trying to do it through music. Sound. Sound body, sound mind. That's what they are. I was taught. Sound body, sound mind. Do it through sound.
It's pretty cool that actually we're here in Montreal talking to you, because Montreal actually played an important part in the band leaving Chicago and winding up someplace else.
Yeah, that was the first out-of-town gig I had. It was coming to Montreal in the 60s, I think it was the 60s, or 59 or 60s, somewhere around. Yeah, that was the first out of town gig I had with the band. And the band, we had a large 15-piece band, but all the best musicians and all the ones that had been in the band long, they migrated to New York. So they was going on their journey to outer space with their journey. So I left Sun Ra with only John Gilmore and myself, Ronnie Barkins, a singer, a drummer, and Walter Strickland played trumpet. So he had those, so we had this gig in Montreal, so we come up here to play in 1960 something. And that's when I had a seat then. Yeah. I had a hot seat, I call it. Yeah, because I had to play all the parts. You see, and right on it, but I did the best I could do.
So what happened when you left Montreal? You guys were going to
Well,
go.
we went to we said we'd stop in New York and see some of the fellows from the band and check New York out. But on the way in, we got in New York, and the taxi hit a car, which they were in the wrong, of course. So we're going to sue the taxi company. So in order to sue the taxi company, we didn't have transportation home. So we took care of that, filed the claim and all that. So then now there we stuck in New York, and we said we got some money, we can go back home, or we can get a place and wait for the repair of the car. Yeah. What the taxi company will pay for the car. But what it was, we got a place, and we started from nothing in New York. And that's how I got stuck in New York for 10 years. So I said, oh, well. And I was going to leave Sun Ra, and we all stayed there and had a place up on the west side, 80-some-odd street. And then we moved down to the village because it was a little cheaper down there. And we wasn't doing too much work. But he began to build a band from New York, which are heliocentric and all them guys. He built another band. Yeah. And we didn't go back to Chicago.
So how was the sound of the band changing in New York once you got to New York?
Well, he began to get all kinds of little instruments to play on, string instruments, bells, you name them, he had it. And we made all these different sounds, And whether you could play them or not, he'd have you playing it. So if you could play one note, then you got a one note song, string on the string or whatever. So he give you time to practice. And he give you the instrument and you play something on it. Right. Now, if you don't know anything, that was good because you're going to play really what you feel. You understand? Yeah. See, so in other words, that taught you something. And when you're playing what your heart say, you usually play something that you wouldn't ordinarily do because your mind's so square. See?
How do you get out of the square then?
That's the way you get out of it.
Yeah.
You do something that you don't know right. And you do the right thing that you intend to do. In other ways, from here, everybody goes through it. You might know this, but something else happened. Now, if you're playing for a speech, everything's wonderful. But it don't go that way, you see. Just like it is now, it don't go that way. Yeah. But basically, you got an idea, and you use the imaginations, the magic carpet. The sword that is the lands decline, you see? Now, he'd be saying, and we'd be singing all those things, and never dawned on me, wait a minute. If it's a magic carpet, then I have to be the magic carpet. You see?
Yeah.
I put it to myself, all those things I didn't understand, you see? Going out of space, yeah, I can go. Put yourself, go. Sound. So they have sound to destroy, sound, put you together, side tear you apart. So I'm going to use it, put myself together.
Can you share some sound with us right now?
Sound. That's the way I feel today. Yeah. So that's the way every day I get up, I play the way I feel today. If I got a band, they got to play the way we feel today. We know what we felt yesterday because we played the music, and we'll take the same music and change it for today because today is not the same as yesterday.
Would you be willing to show us today how you feel?
I can show you that now.
Okay.
called EVI, electronic valve instrument. That they got different makes. This is a Steiner, one of the first ones that come out, made by Steiner. So it's an old model, but it's not built very strong. It's got some weak points in it, like I can pull off and they're plastic. But anyway, sound. Well, anyway, that's the way I feel today. I have different little instruments to express yourself. So, really, what I do and what I can recommend is what sound. I like a sound. I like this sound.
Marshall Allen, Mr. Danny Thompson, everybody. Let's get you a microphone.
Anyway, to express a point of feeling, it's done through feeling. So if you feel and I feel, then we can create something at the moment. Tomorrow it'll be different.
Thank you for sharing that with us. We were talking about just really around the time, I guess, not that far before you guys met. 1960s, New York City.
67.
Yeah.
67.
The sound of the orchestra is getting more experimental. There's this so-called new thing going on, going by different names, free jazz, avant-garde. Did you guys feel like you were a part of that? I know Sun Ra had very strong opinions about being, included in that category.
Absolutely. We was in the movement. They was surrounded around Sun Ra, really. It was coming in through him, like this movement. And we was down in the East Village, and everything was going on around this time. All the musicians, experimental musicians, they're very good musicians, though. They was playing at the same time down there.
So one of the main spots that I guess you guys took up residency, or really their main spot, was a place called
Slugs. It was a club in New York on the Lower East Side on 4080 on 3rd Street. It was a raggedy-looking club. It was sawdust on the floor. They had spittoons over there. It was really like a dive. You wouldn't really want to go maybe, but they had the best music there, the best music ever. They had Archie Shepp. They had Giuseppe Logan. They had all the bands down there, and Sun Ra we was playing down there. We was performing down there. But when I first saw Sun Ra, I wasn't in the band yet, and I didn't know what to expect. So when I got there, I knew it was going to be something different because on the stage there was Sun Ra, he on piano, and there was 5 drummers and 5 bass players on the stage. I'm like, well, where's the band going to sit? And the band was sitting down in front. Marshall Allen, John Gilmore, everybody was sitting in front and in the audience. And they started off the set, and I was sitting there. At 9 o'clock, I was there. At 4 o'clock, I was there. They hadn't stopped. I'm like, oh. Wow, this is something else. They played straight from 9 to 4. No breaks. It was like you going to a construction job. You working and working and working. So when I got in the band, when I finally got in the band, and I went down and played, the only way we would take breaks was we had a drummer named Clifford Jarvis would take a half-hour drum solo, and you could kind of sneak out to the side. There was where the restroom was, but there was it was hidden back there. You could smoke, call for a drink or something, but you better be back on stage when he stopped. Otherwise, Sun Ra said you butchered his music.
Now, you weren't living in the house on 3rd Street at that point.
No.
The Sun Palace, right? Now, you were living in the house on 3rd Street.
Yeah.
What was that environment like?
Well, like we had to move from uptown, okay? And we moved down the village where the action was. So we was playing in the coffee clubs and stuff, the coffee shop and all the little clubs down in the village. And wasn't much money, but you could eat and get coffee to go home. Hey, that's a big thing back there. Yeah. And we played a lot of music, and we used a lot of musicians and things like that down there. But that's the way we survived in the village. So, and we began to get the village musicians and got the what's the name of the spot?
Slugs.
Yeah, Slugs. So the Slugs was every Monday we had a gig every Monday.
And the musicians would come out to hear you too
Yeah,
because
so,
they
yeah.
were all off work, right?
And then they had all the musicians that would go there and play. But we had this Monday spot. It was the only spot left was Monday. And Sun Ra would go in and play from 9 to 4.
What was living with Sun Ra like?
Well, it's like living at home when you're younger and you want to leave. You know, you're living at home. You know what it's like. So it's the same way. I'm living with Sun Ra, and I got to abide by the house rules. You know, like the young people and the parents. You know. So I could do things, but I didn't do too much because he was on my case. Kept me busy.
I mean, we've all read, I guess, like he had rules about drinking and smoking and relationships.
You could do
and
a
stuff.
lot of things if you. It's just like it wasn't something so different. What was so different about it was more discipline and more practicing and more leaving everything, little things in life that we like, out, and that hurts, especially when you're younger. You know. It hurts to leave out. Oh, I can't go drinking at night in the club because I got to rehearse. Or I can't do something else, other thing. But it's like family, if you got strict parents, everybody knows what it's like. They get in your way sometime when you want to do something, to give you some discipline. And I had to take all of that, whether I liked it or not. But found out it was better for me because I stayed out of a lot of other troubles and things.
Now, you guys had a lot, the orchestra had a lot of admirers, obviously, in terms of your fellow musicians. But, I mean, you said this yesterday when we were talking, how when you first saw the orchestra, you were like, whoa, what's going on with these guys?
When I first saw the orchestra was at Olatunji Center for African Culture. They was Coltrane was playing. And I wanted to go see Coltrane. And when I got there, I saw these people over in the corner. It wasn't like I was scared, they're going to beat me up or nothing like that. It was like, oh, no, that's a different vibe. I'm not going over there. I'd never seen nobody like that. And I was like, no, I'm not going over there. So Marshall, after the concert, Marshall said, Danny, come here. I went over there, and everybody was smiling. It was like, oh, wow, hey, Danny, hey. It was so nice. I said, phew. I didn't know what was going to happen.
But, I mean, at that point already, the outfits on stage and stuff were getting more elaborate, I would imagine.
Sun Ra always had costumes. Sun Ra was this band is a show band. So he grew up a show band, and we were show band. Everything, we have costumes, uniforms, and we put on a different outfit for a different city. He had a different name for the band. Sometimes it would be Sun Ra Intergalactic Orchestra, Sun Ra and his Cosmic Orchestra, Sun Ra and his Transmolecularization Orchestra. There was a lot of names for the different concerts we was playing. And we'd have different costumes. We always had costumes, outer space costumes. Even in Chicago, before I got in there, they had costumes. We call them uniforms, but
You match a uniform up to one's personality, One was look good on color. The ladies know about colors and like things like that. They know that well. You put on the colors, your colors. You got your colors. You cool. So he used lights. He used strobe lights. He used colors and the music and costumes. All of this is designed to bring the music out to you. You see.
Even when we went to a hotel, Sun Ra had a thing when we go to a hotel. We playing all night. We might have drove to get there, flew to get there. We played the gig. We're not even going to the hotel. We played. We're tired. We get to the hotel. Everybody would have to wait downstairs. And whoever's the manager in Sun Ra would go up and check all the rooms out and see if the colors was right in the room for the musicians that was going to stay there. Now, you can imagine if you, oh, man, here we go again. So one night, Sun Ra was really tired, and he said, well, just give out the rooms. I said, okay. I gave out the room. The next morning, everybody was complaining. Man, that room, I didn't like that room. I didn't like that room. This room, the color was wrong. Everything was wrong. So it worked. We do that now, even still.
He was on to something then.
Yeah, he was on to something, yeah.
I mean,
have you ever stayed in a hotel room where it's not, something's not right, and you want to move, but it's too late? You have, yeah. You ever stayed in a hotel room that you didn't like? Yeah. Check the room out first. And if it doesn't vibe with you, it doesn't feel your vibrations, try to get another one.
check the color, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 60s, with this new thing happening, was very tied to activism, black nationalism. Sun Ra's philosophies obviously had different components of that as a part of it. But how much of that, informed what you guys did, as members of the orchestra?
I'll tell you one thing. If we came from nowhere here, why can't we go somewhere there? Simple, isn't it? Why can't we go somewhere there? And he put all his poetry sounds, things, into lyrics for songs. So he said, greetings from the century of 21st century. Greetings from the century of 21st century. See? But those of the 21st century. Back in the 50s, he said, this music's not for today, for these people. It's for the 21st century. And I said, oh, that's 50-something years from now. Oh, my gosh, I'd be too old to even play. No, I mean, in my head,
Sun Ra had
if I tell you 50 years from now, you'd say, oh, my gosh, I'll be 60 or something. I won't be able to walk. But
Sun Ra had a certain thing he always said. He said, fellas, now years from now, they'll still be playing my kindergarten stuff. They'll just be learning my kindergarten stuff. And I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. So one day at rehearsal, not too long ago, Marshall brought out I don't know where he got it from. It was some piece of music that was almost, it was really old. And Marshall said, this Sun Ra wrote this. And we tried to play it. It was very hard. I think we finally got it, but it took us a long time to get it.
I'd like to show the first video, if possible, just as an example of how far things were going for you guys. This is actually, I believe, from 1970 in a concert in West Berlin, and it's the Sun Ra Arkestra performing Shadow World.
That was in East Berlin, when it was East Berlin, when they had the wall up. After that, not too long after that, they tore the wall down. But they was the people there at the auditorium was told, don't clap, don't play so loud, and we went crazy, and they went crazy, so it was good.
Yeah, how do you rehearse that?
That's spontaneous.
Well, Sun Ra had his rehearsals was something. He'd rehearse in Philadelphia. We rehearse all day. We'd have dinner. He'd cook dinner. We rehearse all night, and at all times of night, day and night. And like Marshall was saying, if you wanted to go somewhere, he stayed downstairs, and he very rarely slept. He had cat naps. So you could hear, he'd wake up like And if you don't get dressed, you're coming downstairs Friday night, you're ready to sneak out, to go out and have a good time. And, oh, Danny, can you come here? I got a tune I want you to play. That's it. The night is gone. About 3 hours later, but it was worth it. You know, I can't deny it was worth it.
Now, by that point, you had moved to Philly. You'd relocated from New York to Philly.
Right.
So how did the house on Morton Street happen?
Morton Street, I was in New York, so things was getting different in New York. We had to get out of there because Sun Ra needed a place much quieter, you know, to study and more space because it was kind of crowded up there where we was in New York. Anyway, my father had 2 or 3 houses, so he gonna lure me down to come down to stay with, you know, he got, give you a house, come on down. So I go down there and it was Morton Street. So I said, oh yeah, Sun Ra would like this, that everybody have a room and we got enough space to rehearse and everything, instead of that little room we had in New York. So I come down here and hammer and nail and fix the thing, clean the house so we could move in. And that's how Sun Ra got the house. Then my father said, yeah, it's your house. I said, no, I don't want it. Sell it to Sun Ra because he needs a place to work, which he did, you know. So he just sold it for Sun Ra for $1. And so that took the responsibility off of me, I thought. but you know, I didn't want to be bothered with all of that. Give it to Sun Ra, he needs it. So that's the way he got the house, and it's still in his name. So, but I lived there free, rent-free and all of that. So it's good.
How many members of the orchestra were living in the house in Philly?
At one time, about maybe 5 or 6. It was 2 upstairs, 2 in the second, 3
upstairs.
3 upstairs, 2 in second floor, and we had a lot of people that would come to rehearsal, or come from different cities. Musicians would come from different cities.
2 or 3 floating.
And they would stay there.
You know, when you get up, they get in.
There was a lot of people there, and Sun Ra didn't move like regular people. It took him a year to move. The reason I know, because Pat Patrick gave me the keys to the station wagon, and I was gung-ho and said, yeah, I drive, yeah. Can you drive? Yeah, man, I can drive. I've been driving ever since. And I had to drive every day back and forth to New York. Sun Ra he was for about a year. He was moving in. He was getting things right. But I'm still the driver now with the band. Some things never change. So be careful when you say, yeah, I can do that. You might be doing it for the rest of your life.
Danny, you were also, I mean, along this whole time, the records are being released independently, self-pressed, self-released through Saturn. Saturn, I guess, is the name of the label. And at certain points, you were in charge of that as well. Well, as far as the distribution of it.
Right. We was doing a lot of, we was pressing our own records. And at first it was done in Chicago. And then Sun Ra, we started doing them in Philadelphia. We had the house there, so we could press our own records. There was a pressing plant in Philadelphia, and there's one in New York. We used different ones. And this one they had vinyl. And we used to press the records, and then we'd wait for the labels to come from Chicago. So then we said, we're going to make some different kind of labels and records. So we had we glued these labels on. We had some labels printed up, and we cut them out, and we glue them on the records downstairs. That got too much, you know, that glue in your system. So we figured we're gonna go modern. So we have the paste, you pull off and then paste on. So we have the record labels, and then we get the records pressed. There was blank labels, and then we have the covers. So we doing the covers. We could put different things on the covers and different painting. So we was all painting the covers. So if you have a hand-painted cover of a Sun Ra album, you got a classic, I'm telling you. Because we did each one different. And most of the guys, we painted them different things. And so you got something that nobody else has. And I saw one, somebody told me he had $2,000. He was going to sell one. I'm like, man, what did I miss out on? But we do the records and then we distribute them ourselves. And I had some distributors. So like if you lived in Boston. Say you lived in Boston and you had a record company, and you wanted X amount of records. At that time, there was not too problems at the airports. So I would go to the airport with these albums and take them to Boston, meet the guy at the airport, get our money, and fly back. Same day, and boom. And Europe, I did it in Europe, and so we had a record company going on then.
But that's why these records are like impossible to find now.
Yeah.
Oh, at least the original ones.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the thing that's so cool is that while these albums were really hard to find when they came out, now people can hear them,
right?
Because everybody has this appreciation for the legacy of the orchestra.
Right.
I mean, what in that video we saw a few different people, John Gilmore. There's been other key members of the orchestra. I'm just really interested to know how you guys were able to maintain the orchestra, because it sounds like it was a struggle financially. And, it was obviously amazing experiences, but, was it difficult to not want to go and do other things and pursue other opportunities as a musician?
Well, yes, it was difficult because you don't make no money and you don't spend no money. And you got a place to stay. It's just like I was saying, being at home with your parents. You might not have no money, but you got a place to stay and a place you can eat, and like that. But that's not enough, really, down the line. So I had to go out and find some work so I could have a little money. And then don't miss rehearsals. So he fixed the rehearsals, so I go out. If I work 8 hours, I come and I'll rehearse 2 or 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed, see. So that was it. Didn't have no money, still don't have none. So go to work and make money. And then we play a job and there's still not enough money because Sun Ra would have 15, 16, 20 people on the bandstand. So, wasn't much money going around to the individuals. But that's the way it was, so I'd go get me a job. I always had me a little extra job on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's funny, we were on a good paying job, right? Oh, we got a good paying job. And you see, here come a cast of 1,000. Where these guys coming from? Everybody showing up. It'd be like, went from 10 to 25 on the stage. I'm like, come on, man.
But Sun Ra wanted teaching the musicians to do business themselves, be business mind. You understand, business mind. And that way, a lot of the money that goes somewhere else will come to you if you're minding business. So he teach us to do the things ourselves and not depend on other people.
One thing about Sun Ra, and this was in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s, and the 80s, we was going to Europe with 25 pieces for like 7 months, 6 months, 8 months at a time. And, you know, it's not easy now, you know, as far as financially. You going with 25 people, it's 30 people, maybe sometimes 30 people we're going out of the country with. Try to do that. It's not easy. And we managed to survive and come back with a little something, you know. We wouldn't get rich, but, you know, we got something.
One of the things musically, I think, as you know, you come out of these more experimental eras, although it's been maintained over the entire course of the orchestra, is this balance between traditional sounds and sounds that push the boundaries. I mean, it's this really, and you maintain it now. Even it's this really reverential to jazz's history and the music's history, but also very progressive still. And I just wonder how you maintain that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Someone said there were some great musicians that came before us, and with great and good sounding bands and good musicians. So the kind of band we have to have is a show band. They had dancers, comedians with the bands in those days. And they also, Duke Ellington, Fletcher Henderson, you can go name all these bands. So he said, when we play for the people, we'll give them the history of all of those who's been forgotten in the New Age, you know. So we go back from 1920s and play music from all of those bands on up to today. And then in the meantime, you play the bebop area, come in here, play, got music from there. So what we do when we play, if we have enough time, we'll play a little bit from the old days that the musicians give a treasure of music to the world for all of us. And they were good musicians, and they gave us their beautiful music, so we should honor them by playing it, right? So Sun Ra honored all of the musicians before us, honored their music up until today. And that's the way our band, it's like you get a little bit of history. You get a little bit of the old days, and right on up to time, how music moved step to step, step to step, with different ideas. See? Because you had all these bands with different sound and different things, like Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Fletcher Henderson, you got hundreds of bands. So we got music from all of these bands. So when you're playing their music, you play it as if you were there then. Play it like them, to honor them. So that's why we have a show band where you dance and you clown, you do whatever, you speak, you can do everything, instead of just sitting there playing your horn and sitting. You see? So he had a show band where we used colors, dancers, comedians, and everything, lights, strobe lights and things, and stuff.
Marshall was saying this earlier. When we play, we want to play happiness, because there's so much stuff going on in this world today. It's terrible, all this craziness. So the public, the people, you need some happiness, at least some happiness, a ray of hope or happiness that everything's going to be all right eventually. And we like to project happiness.
So sometimes you hear all these things you don't want to hear, but you need. Because your ear, anyway, is like a harp, and you got strings in it, I guess, down in there. So you hear a lot of stuff, and if you play on a lot of stuff in this, you wear it down. And then up here, the only time you hear something up there is something you can't recognize. If you hear, you see, because that's a very different sound. So just the ear is that. So you have to. The ear is like a harp, you know. You play on the strings, you don't want to play it, play, right there, right there, right there, right there. You wear it out, you know. So you got to play. You get all the different sounds, and the more sounds that you hear that you don't recognize is better for you in life, because the universe got more than that. You see, and the strange sounds. So we use those sounds. So that's why we play space music or avant-garde, call it what you like, but it's going beyond our foundation. Is already set, so it's going beyond the foundation, and it's going from here down to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. Spiral.
May of 1993, Sun Ra left this planet. What do you remember about that experience of Sun Ra leaving the planet?
Yeah, you said transmolecular. Now, who am I to say he didn't? And when he said he did. And then I wonder myself, well, you can believe it or not, though it's what he said. So there you go. So I'm still at it. I don't know.
I've seen Sun Ra come to me in some visions, and it wasn't like I was asleep. It was like, and I was dreaming. It was a vision, and he came to me and he told me some things, and he only stayed 2 minutes, like a minute or something. And he's gone, but he's come to me, and and so I said, well, maybe I'm doing something all right. I saw him, but he was a very. You ever been with somebody that you take for granted maybe at a certain time, then later on in years, oh, how happy was this cat? Like, damn, this guy was something. He was a genius. He told us that this is Creator's band. This band is the Creator's band, and the Creator puts in who he wants, takes out who he wants, and puts back in who he wants. So sometimes some guys show up, they're in the band. We don't know where they come from or why they're there, but they're in the band. And then some guys got to leave. The Creator wanted them out for a minute, and we got another band. It's frustrating in a sense because you were used to rehearsing with a certain amount of people, and you get a kind of sound get tight, and here comes somebody else. So now you got to go over this again and do that and keep doing that. It's difficult. I have to give Marshall credit. He's good at it.
I'm a Gemini. So you can take it from there. Yeah, I'm a Gemini like Sun Ra. He's Gemini. But I'm playing music all these years. What am I playing music for? I mean, really, you stop and say, what am I doing this for? So I finally figured out, they say music can make you cry, music can make you happy. Music is a very emotional thing. It does many things for you. Music can heal you, and then I guess it can kill you too, really. So I said, well, now I'm going to use the music for my well-being. That's the only way I'm doing it. Now, if I'm well-being, I don't care if I got $1 or not. It's that stuff don't bother me. if you will, your well-being does, though. So I made up my mind. I said, yeah, I'm gonna continue Sun Ra's music, and it's some of his ideas that I thought was a dream or something, and try to make it into reality. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm still playing the music for my well-being, so I can give you something too. You see. So I'm not playing for just money or fame, none of that. I'm playing for my well-being, because if I wasn't well-being, I wouldn't play no music, because I wouldn't have no desire to play. I have my desire to fulfill the mission that I set out to do. You see?
If you was trying to get money, you're playing for money with this band, you're in the wrong band.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna make it. No, you better do something else. No, you ain't making it. No, it's.
But if you playing for your
For your
well-being,
heart.
come welcome.
Sometimes, well, we had 100 pieces. Sun Ra had 100 pieces twice in New York. Twice. 100-piece band. We got guys from, the musicians from all over. And they played for, and so I had to pay everybody at one of the gigs. And I had a list. I was just sitting down. Here's your $5. Here's your $5. Here's your $5. And everybody, thank you, thank you. And these are like, well-paid musicians. Thank you, thank you, thank. But it was the music. Sun Ra had a talent for bringing out something that you didn't even know you had inside you. And when you found it out, and you wondered, how did I play that? How did that come out? You hear it, maybe you hear it back saying, I know a musician named Von Freeman from Chicago. They asked him, how does he play this? And he said, the Creator just puts it in my horn and he plays me. And I don't know how I did that. And that's like this Sun Ra band was like this. Sun Ra's music is like that. You wonder, how did I do it? I wish I could do it. And then you try to do it again and you ain't gonna do it. Maybe something else you can do, but it's a vibration that the Creator just takes over your horn, he wraps his wings around you, and he plays your horn. And you wonder, how did I play that? It wasn't you. There was another being grabbing your horn.
I mean, you just mentioned continuing the mission. How much do you feel an obligation to pass along the philosophies as well as the music to the new musicians who might join the orchestra? Is it for them to figure out, or is it something that you also share with them?
Those things. When you go to see a band or you see a show or whatever, up to individuals seeking different things from what they go see, right? So that's a learning experience in life anyway. It's the same way. You want to come here and you want to see what we saying. I'm saying if you do, you understand? You get what you go for. Now each person got a different thing they go for. You see? So by playing music like this, a spiral never ending, I can give all of you something, because down in the spiral comes your turn. You see? So that's the way it is, and nothing is done like bap bap. It's not like that. It's always when your turn as an individual comes, because it goes and it never goes to stop. You see.
I think it's going to be these guys' turn to ask a few questions, but before that, I just want to say, join me in thanking Danny and Marshall. Do we have questions from participants only?
Hello, how are you? Hi. I wanted to know, like, where were you guys coming from before you entered the band? What music were you listening to? What was your background? What?
Me? Oh, I was, wait a minute. I was born in 1924, okay? Now, I come up with the old bands till I went to the Army. And then I got in a band in the Army. And I played music, jazz music, march music, and whatever. From the Army for 10 years. And then after that, I got a discharge, and I went to Paris to study with Monsieur Delicluse at the clarinetist. Okay, to upgrade my technique and ideas, you know. And then after that, the people were from James Moody, Coleman Hawkins, all the great musicians was migrated to Paris in the days of 1949, 47, 48, 49. Everybody was in Paris. So the musicians from all over the world had migrated to Paris. So I was there at that time with all those good musicians who encouraged me and helped me too, you know. So I found Sun Ra, I found my place in space. That's it, you see. But before then, I would play with march band, I played with the Irish, I played with the Arab, I played with the English, I played in all these different, played in German band, I played in the mountain band, I played in hillbilly band, I played all this music because it's dealing with sound. You see, I'm not prejudiced towards what is, you know. So that way it was for my learning experience. And then when I thought I knew everything, I got with Sun Ra, and I see I don't. So I'm not saying I know everything now. I'm still learning. But that's what I was doing before then. I played a little classical. I was doing all the things that to get experience in.
You played with James Moody too, right, Marshall?
I played with the blues band. I played with everybody.
You said you played with James Moody.
Yeah. Don Byers. I played with the Hawk Coleman. They all, because I was a young player, inexperienced too much, but had some experience, you know. But playing with the professionals was like, hey, take you under your wings and guide you and help me. So I do that. When I perfect something, I take those who is to perfect something and help them. I do it today because this was done to me. And I appreciate that. I never would have been where I've been if it wasn't for all those people, professionals helping me along the way when I was younger.
Thanks.
Okay?
I grew up in the Motown era, you know, and but I always liked jazz. I had a family who one had a motel, and a lot of famous musicians would come there and stay, and not knowing who they were, if I look back on it, I'm like, wow, right there with Dinah Washington and or Ella Fitzgerald. I seen a lot of people and didn't know it till I got older. Stuff Smith. And all I knew was the nice man out in back. I didn't know he was a famous virtuoso on the violin. I had no idea. So I grew up in the Motown, but I liked jazz. And I had an aunt that liked my aunt. I really have to give her credit because she always played some Fletcher Henderson records, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, So I grew up around that. And I like big bands, because in the big band, quartet you can play, you know, do your thing. But in the big band, everybody's got to sound together. You got to be with the sax section or whatever section you're with. It's got to sound like one man.
Thanks.
So I had a question too. You talked a little bit about it, but how the rehearsals went down. So you got a piece of melody, and that was something that everyone knew, and then you sort of improvised on that, or how did it go?
Sun Ra would tailor make the music for you. So he'd tailor make an arrangement for your personality. And this is funny because nobody else could really play it like you played it once you got it together. So he would tailor make music. So sometimes it'd be frustrating because we got maybe 15 arrangements on one song. Say the guy's gone, he'll tailor make another part. Now oh boy, here we go again. But it got you, kind of ready for that. But Sun Ra he was famous. He would rather you rehearse, not miss a rehearsal, than you can miss the gig, but don't miss the rehearsal. He was really bad on that. Was a no-no. I mean, I'll tell you one time, for some reason, for 2 weeks, the whole band, we didn't rehearse. I don't know why. Somebody was going here, somebody was going here. So we was playing at this club called the Bottom Line in New York. Sun Ra never say nothing. We was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So the first set, everything he played was 100 miles an hour. You understand what I mean? It was fast. Like if it's bum, 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 it's bum, 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 bum. And by the time the end of the show, for the first set, we came off stage, everybody was blowing. And he said, yeah, I bet you won't miss one of my rehearsals again. And he really purposely, he started everything off nice and then fast. And the fast tunes were faster. And it was difficult. So we got the message.
Thank you.
So you miss a rehearsal, you can't play in the band. You can't play the number.
Yeah, he'd embarrass you too.
He will change it.
What was
So you get there and you think you got it because you was there yesterday. Today, you're in the wrong place. Somebody else got your part or something similar.
How else would he discipline the band? How else would he discipline the band? Like if you did something wrong, like was there something called like jail, right?
Well, you was in the Rod jail, but you didn't want to get in the Rod jail. Believe me, I've been in there a couple of times. You don't want to be in the Rod jail. It ain't pretty. But sometimes if it was really bad, you really did something bad, he would embarrass you on stage. We'd be playing in front of an audience. I mean, we're actually a performance. And somebody will say, and he'll say, wait a minute. He said, world, I have the world's greatest guitar player or something like, or whatever instrument he was playing. So, and he mentioned your name. He said, no discipline whatsoever. And you're sitting there, oh, these people know my name for this. Yeah, so it was a lot of different things. But you didn't want to get in the Rod jail. Because I was the manager one time, and if you really did something bad, we'd send you back from Europe, wherever we was, and you get the coffee and cognac. So the royal treatment, it was called a royal treatment. So the royal treatment consisted of you going to a separate hotel from the rest of the band. It's a nice hotel. You're staying in this different hotel. You're not playing on the gig. We playing the gig. The next morning, I come there, and I take you to the airport. I pay you for the whole tour. I give you coffee and cognac, and you're gone. That was the royal treatment. So you didn't want the royal treatment either. It wasn't good. You see me, you want some coffee and cognac? No.
Anyone else with a question?
You got no questions? Come on. There you go.
I just wanted to ask about a very important member later on and her influence on you guys and on Sun Ra, and then kind of the effect of her passing. Speaking about June Tyson, of course, like what she meant to you guys. Just I hear her voice, and when she sings, it's so powerful. I only wish I could have seen her perform. So I would like some insight.
June was something else. You know, June lived in Harlem, and her husband was the manager at the time, Richard Wilkinson, and they lived in, and she had 2 children. They lived in the projects in Harlem, and sometimes we come into New York. We maybe staying a week and playing a week at somewhere, some club. Everybody stay at June's house. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, and this is like 15 guys and her family. You know, who does that?
I know one thing. I had the chair in the kitchen on the left by the window.
I had the chair.
That was my spot.
Well, I waited the weekend till I get the chair on the right in the kitchen because she'd always cook pancakes for us. Because she said, I know your mother told me you like pancakes, and she would cook pancakes, and I was right there to eat them. I was first to eat. But we would stay there for weeks at a time. And her children going to school. We see her children now, they're grown, you know, they have children themselves and grandbabies. And one of them told one of her daughters told her daughter, hey, this is our uncle. I had 15 uncles when growing up.
Yeah, I mean, June's voice, it's kind of one of the really essential components to the sound.
Angelic.
That was Somebody Else's World, featuring June Tyson. Why do you think that we've caught up, I guess, in a way? If this was music for the 21st century, and there's, you know, you have, when you guys do your gigs, there's not just people who remember when you guys were doing stuff from back in the day. It's all generations of people.
We had,
Yeah, go ahead.
you know, we have older audiences and we have younger audiences, and we have, and so the younger artists maybe they haven't heard us, but they just come right on in. I mean, it's like you learn to walk. You know, you don't know how you learn to walk, but you're walking, and you listen to this music, and you listen to this music, and this music is carrying you somewhere where you want to be, and you're not sure why it's going there, but you're happy that you're listening to it, and that's how we are.
Anybody else with a question?
Through his music, like an album, he tried to show his ideas like beyond the Earth, like spaceships, or sometimes he's really focused on like anti-nuclear war or something like that. And did he talk about, it's kind of ridiculous question though, did he talk about something kind of stuff personally, very openly to you guys?
But outer space?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, all the time. All the time.
Why,
you know?
why was he so into kind of, because I'm so into that kind of, I'm really into that sci-fi stuff too, so I'm really curious about his personal stuff.
He said he was from Saturn, and I believe it. And who am I to know, you know? Did I see him when he came here? No. I mean, and a lot of he's always out of space, so he was really ahead of his time, because in Chicago, when he was in Chicago, this was in the 50s, he was preaching he was not preaching, but he was talking in this park, and he was telling people they're going to put a man on the moon soon. This was in Chicago. This was before they had the moonwalk and everything. Then they put a man on the moon. So I see a lot of his things, they're coming true. Go ahead, Mark.
He was a visionary. He told us about the future before it got there. He told us about the future. And it's like any other poet or philosopher, tell you something about the future, which eventually comes around.
Honestly, I can see that like he was the most rational, radical, futurist person in history for me.
Radical, futuristic.
Yeah,
Futurist.
Yeah, he left messages all over in the music. Space Age is here to stay. No place you can run away.
Space is a place.
You run to the rock to hide your face, the rock right out, no hiding place. So you have to face the music. You know.
If we came from nowhere here, why can't we go somewhere there?
So
That's
he
imagination
got
is a magic
songs for
carpet.
all his sayings, philosophy or poems or whatever you want to call them. He's got music for them. And so he's got enlightenment is
My tomorrow. It has no plains of sorrow.
He got a song for that.
Space fire sometimes is music. The sound of joy is enlightenment. The space fire truth is enlightenment. Space fire sometimes is music. Strange mathematics. Rhythmic equations.
So that way you listen. If I tell you a poem or read or something, and then to music. So he put all his songs into his poems or into his writings, you know. So he put the message in the song like it is when he said, I love my baby, come on home. See, play the blues because you're talking about your lady or something, you know? So it's the same thing. He's talking about all the world's imagination, the magic carpet, going to other places in space. It's possible, believe it or not. Something goes, I see they put the satellite up there. It went up and come back. Or well, it went up and stayed. But anyway, you know, it's a possibility. So they're probing until they get around to getting the right thing. We can go to space and enjoy ourselves on another planet when they get through destroying this one. Because they're sure trying.
One more over here.
Hi. I would like to ask, like, you mentioned like the kind of like intense routine that you have daily, like the rehearsals and the house rules and whatnot. Do you ever feel like leaving the band at some point, or has it been like you stayed because of the bond and because of the music?
Well, I became Sun Ra's manager for like 10 years, and it burned you out. Really, I'm not gonna lie, because if everything went wrong, it was on you. If everything went right, it was on Sun Ra did it. And but you know, it was just so much. It was so much that so I left for a while, but you never really leave. You know, I had maybe I took a vacation like 10 years. I took a vacation for 10 years. And then the creator wanted me back. So Marshall said, I didn't even have any instruments. And I was visiting Marshall one day up at his house, and there was a raggedy flute up there. So, horrible. So I played it, and he said, you got a sound off of that? So he went and got me a flute. Then I started getting back in the band. Eventually I got a baritone, you know, and I started playing back again. But it was so intense where we went and the places we went and the things you had to deal with that It's hard. You know, sometimes you got to take a little vacation. A lot of guys took vacations, you know.
You find some people in the world like that. They seem like they work 24 hours a day. And they keep you busy. So that's the way Sun Ra was. He would take care of the managers. He would take care of the band. He would write all the music. He would do everything. And that's all I can say. But I'm carrying on, so I got enough just being taking care of his music. That's enough for me. Now, I got managers. You take care of the managers. You take care of the other things. I'll take care of just the music because I don't want to burn myself out. And I wonder how he did it so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was boss of everything.
Boss.
I mean everything. And write the music and rehearse. He did all those things. I can't do it. You know, it's too much. I'm concentrating on one thing, is the music. Seeing that the music's together, you see.
Did you ever feel like you got to know him? I don't want to say as a person, because he was a being, as he declared himself, but personality-wise, I mean, we have an image of Sun Ra as being a mythic being, a lot of us.
Oh, he's funny, man.
Yeah.
He's funny. He come up with some stuff. I mean, he liked to laugh and joke. I mean, he was funny.
Well, there's obviously humor in the art as well.
Yeah, there was humor. There's a lot of humor. He was really funny. You know, he was like my father. You know, I grew up, with my, without my father, and now I got one over here. But I grew up without a father figure, most likely, and Sun Ra he come in fit in right, but he was but he was funny. I mean, he was really funny. He'd come up with some stuff. He liked a good joke. He would, it's like regular people, but then he had this other thing where he was out of space and out of worldly, and it's not too many people can do that, can play both of those roles. He played them well.
What was the funniest thing that Sun Ra would do?
What was the funniest thing, man, Sun Ra would do? What's the funniest thing Sun Ra would do?
Let's shoot it.
There was so many. I tell you, we was playing this song one night. We was rehearsing this song. We rehearsed this song from 10 o'clock in the morning. It was called Darkness. That was the name of the song. From 10 o'clock in the morning, he wrote the song, and it's about 9 o'clock. We tired. We didn't get the song right, and you could feel when you didn't have it right. It sounded good, but you didn't have it right. And he said, well, everybody was tired. I mean, we was tired. We was rehearsing this song all day. So then he said, well, let's play it one more time, fellas. Let's see if we got it. So we played it. And after we played it, you knew you played it because the lights went out in our neighborhood, just in our neighborhood. He said, oh, you played it, fellas. We can go home now. We played Darkness, and it became dark.
Anybody else with a question?
So about the technology, maybe there's this. It seems like technology have had this impact on the music. How do you feel personally about it? Do the machines you use, let's say the pedals or the instruments, do they speak to you? Do you speak to them? How do you feel about these instruments you use?
Somebody told me one time I was playing a flute part. And that's not it. I was playing. I know I'm playing this. I know. He said, no, that's not it. You gotta sound like the birds. You don't sound like the birds. I said, what the hell are you talking about? So the next day I was sitting out in front of the house and heard these birds. They was chirping. I said, oh, maybe that's what he's talking about. I was trying to sound like the birds. So I came back in the next day and I played it. And he said, yeah, it sounds like the birds. But Sun Ra technology was his thing. He had the first Moog. The Moog he had, the mini Moog, was Robert Moog made it for him. There was no schematic, no nothing. He had this Moog, and he made it and gave it to Sun Ra. Way back in Chicago, Sun Ra was playing the first claveline and the first electronic piano, harpsichord, even Marshall had made an instrument called the Morrow.
Flute on one end and a kind of clarinet, subtone clarinet on the top. So I turn it over to the end and play the flute, and turn it over this way and play like a subtone bass clarinet, the subtone. Ooh, sound.
And one time I played bassoon one time, and I grabbed the French horn player's mouthpiece. I was playing around. I'm gonna take this. I stuck it on there. It fit on there, and I played it on a record too. We called it the Neptunian lip flecto. It's bassoon with a French horn mouthpiece.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So, for example, the song "That's How I Feel" off Languidity is constantly sampled in modern music by like hip hop producers. How do you think he would feel about having his music sampled in other people's productions?
Sun Ra, say that again, please.
How would Sun Ra feel about his music being sampled by modern day producers?
Sun Ra, his music has been sampled by a lot of people, and a lot of musicians. It's been sampled, like the digital planet, the diggable planet.
Right.
Say that. Yeah, diggable planets. They sample Sun Ra's music. There's a lot of musicians out here that sample Sun Ra's music.
Sure, but do you think he would generally approve?
Oh no. He would say, see, they got my stuff. They listening.
Cool.
He would like that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I have just two sort of questions. I think you've sort of already touched on them a bit, but I'm really interested in what you're talking about, making sounds which are outside of the box. And I just was wondering if you could talk a bit more about the sounds that the orchestra, Arkestra. I just am having a mental blank. Orchestra, is interested in making and why and how and I just love sound and I love the sounds you guys make. They blow my mind. So I'm just interested in that.
You got it in the box, for instance. It's here, mathematically correct. You see? Spirit, the balance, you understand? It's a spirit. You go anywhere, any place in the universe. See? You can go round, up, down. But if you can't go no further than the foundation that you have. They can build on top of it. So when you're playing, whatever you do, whether you're in the box or not, I can go like this. It's just like a dancer. You play boom, doom, 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 doom. See?
Yep, cool.
So you can go do the same things, but you have to feel it. You have to feel it. It's all about that. So the more you exercise your feeling, the better world. I'm playing the music for a better world. For spirit world is a better world because you come together and it changes and it comes and it's different. And it's not here that you this like the laws. It's like that. So it is. it's not as complicated as you think. You see? Because if you feel something and it's very different, it flows and you feel, you probably do it. But if you can think something and you think it's, so tomorrow it's obsolete, you know? But if it feeling flows, you see? Make a better world, play a better music.
I think that's as good a note to end on as any. When we say thanks once again to Mr. Marshall Allen and Danny Thompson.